Welcome into Campo and Joe. Pleasure to be with you because we're coming in as winners, people. We don't have the L on our forehead. We've got W's to celebrate, Coach. Welcome in. It's Campo and Joe. Joe C. from XL Primetime. You can catch me noon to 3. Weekdays on the Superstation. And Coach Campo, well, he knows a little something about winning. As a former Dallas Cowboy head man, Super Bowl coach. Isn't it nice to be talking about a victory this week?
Fantastic, and especially the way the game went. It was just, I was excited because it was game week. Yeah. I was really excited sitting in the press box watching that one.
All right, so we're going to dig into it. We're going to talk about, I think we might sneak in just a couple little areas that they're going to want to try and fix and focus on. But hey, you don't have that many wins. Let's talk about the good stuff. And I made the point on the radio show, Coach, that you need to enjoy wins. They're not easy to come by, particularly with this franchise. So here's the number, Coach. 5 victories in their last 35 games. Okay, 5 in their last 35. And 60% of those wins have come against the Colts. That's pretty good. You will absolutely take that. Now, that goes back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Indianapolis.
Honestly, it goes back to the beginning of 2020, the end of 2021, and then this game here. So let's just dig in. How did they get to this point where they were able to shut out the Indianapolis Colts?
Well, first of all, we've said it from day one about the fact that that they're a better football team, and I'm talking about what they did in the offseason with the draft and free agency. I felt right along that I looked at every position and I felt there was a person or a number of people at every position that improved where they were a year ago.
Right.
Now that, predicting is very difficult. So it's not about predicting that they're going to win 7, 8, 10 games, but it is about going into every ball game with a little bit more competitiveness and having a chance to win in the fourth quarter. And it comes down to, as we've talked about, 4 or 5 plays in the game. If you make them, you win. If you don't, you lose. Yeah. And so that's why they've gotten to this point, in my opinion. I think that they're a better football team. I think the coaching staff is better. I think they're more prepared, and they're a group that really is on the same page with what they want to get done. So that's how they've gotten to this point. Yeah. Now, how many more they're going to win? It all comes down to how well they play on that particular Sunday or Thursday or whenever they're playing.
Yeah, and we'll look at that next one coming up before we're done, and we'll probably sneak in a couple more social media posts when we look at the LA Chargers coming up. But the idea of a coaching staff coming in here and basically having a game plan to the actual team, not a game plan for the game, but a game plan on how to turn this team around. It should not be minimized what Doug Pederson and company have done. He has got guys on both sides of his coaching staff, offense and defense, that know what the heck they're doing.
Yeah, no question. And I think that he's just his persona is. You come in as a Super Bowl coach. When I came here after winning 3 Super Bowls, and I talked with Rashean Mathis, and I told Rashean, look, if you listen to me, I'll have you in the Pro Bowl in 2 years. That was salesmanship, but in reality, he bought in, and then 1 year later, he was in the Pro Bowl. Yeah, well, it's the same thing with Doug Pederson. When you come in with credentials, with skins on the wall, that gives you a chance to go. But then you have to have some good things happen.
Right.
And I think that, the number of young guys he has on this football team, they're very impressionable. I think they're the third youngest football team in the NFL. And when you have that situation, when things go your way, they magnify themselves because you got young guys and they're listening. And I think he has them right where he wants them right now. But the victory this weekend goes a long way towards solidifying that belief, and I think that will help us down the road for sure.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that Doug Pederson comes in with credentials. The players are aware of that. They're mindful of that. They're paying attention to it, and he has a plan. They're not looking around wondering, does this guy know what he's doing? And we all know the difference between last year and this year is Trevor's a year further into this. They went out, and it seems like they've drafted a little bit better than maybe in years past. You have to give Trent Baalke some credit because of the number of starters that he's pulled out of last year's draft, the guys that he's gotten so far to make plays from this year's draft, including the number 1 overall pick. Let's just start there. Number 1 overall pick, Trayvon Walker, with a big play last week. He didn't hit the sack stat sheet this week, but he had an impact. And then the other first-rounder, Devin Lloyd, also came up big.
Yeah, Devin Lloyd probably had the highest rookie PFF grade for his performance, and there was a big difference. And listen, I saw the kid up close and personal when he was at Utah, so I knew he had all the tools. It's kind of like Trevor, right. He's got all the tools. Yeah. It's how quickly you mature and use those tools to your advantage. Well, the first game he was a little shaky. He didn't play in the preseason. He missed a ton of practice with the hamstring.
Right.
Well, second week he goes out there and he was all over the field. He can blitz. He can intercept. He can drop in coverage. He can run to the sideline, and he has a really really quick trigger finger as far as his instincts and going to the football. And so that's shown up. And Walker. You can say whatever you want. He's going to affect the game, whether he gets 5 sacks or whether he just controls the running game. You can't run the ball to his side because he's so strong physically, and he can do so many different things. So, those were 2 outstanding picks, absolutely.
And I don't think you want to necessarily describe the number 1 overall pick as, wow, he's really good against the run. But that's just another plus that he has, that he represents. He's already made plays in the backfield. He's already proven that he can line up inside, he can play off the edge, and he can beat people. This is just the beginning. You and I were talking about this earlier in the week. The comparison between Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson is going to be forever because a lot of people thought that Jacksonville should have taken Aiden Hutchinson with the number one overall pick. Hutchinson, maybe quiet in the first game, went out and got 3 sacks this past game. They're going to keep talking about which one of these guys is better, but Trayvon does a lot of things very, very well.
Absolutely. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't worry too much about the guys we didn't get. I only worry about the guys we get because the guys we didn't get, we're going to play a maximum of maybe 3 if we have to play them in the playoffs. And
That's
they're in our division. Only twice, if not, or once if they're not in the division.
Right.
All I'm worried about is what Trayvon Walker does. And I can tell you right now, Trayvon Walker can affect the game in a number of different ways, and it's already shown up. When a defensive, an outside linebacker, when he was rushing the passer, comes off and intercepts a ball, I'd say he's got some instincts, which he did in the first ball game. And I think that's what you look at. I don't worry about what I think. The guy at Detroit's a good player. And
that's why both of them were
he was
picked at the
worth
top.
the conversation with being the number 1 pick.
Right.
But we got Trayvon Walker, and that's the guy I'm concerned with. And our guys are concerned with.
We'll circle back to the defense because they were able to put pressure on Matt Ryan. I was joking, instead of Matty Ice, it was Matty Melt. He melted, and he's not the same guy he was. But let's swing it over to this quarterback and the offense for a quick minute because I feel like, and you and I have talked about this, Doug Pederson creates a comfort level with the people he's coaching, and the closest guy to him is Trevor Lawrence, and he made things more comfortable for him in this game plan. Kind of give us a sense for how you think he accomplished that.
Well, I think Trevor really can feel his background and being a quarterback in the league, and just that comfort level of he knows how to make me better.
Right.
And he's got, Press Taylor. He's got a number of different guys back there.
Mike McCoy, Jim
McCoy,
Bob. I love saying Jim Bob Cooter.
Jim Bob. Yeah. And it seems to me with the way they came out in the second half of the Washington game and the way they game planned for this game, it seems to me that those guys are all on the same page.
Right.
And to me, that's really important as far as game planning the opponent, having Trevor get the feeling that everybody, this is a collaboration, but it's not a collaboration of 15 different deals. It's everybody working together. And I think that's what this staff has offensively right now.
And the thing I like more than anything else is that he immediately had control of this offense, really from the coin toss, went out, used a lot of his different weapons. And I think the things that are most obvious that excite Jaguar fans the most is that Christian Kirk heavily involved, a half dozen catches. Zay Jones has proven that he can get deep, working the tight end in, both running backs having an impact on this game. And so he has a complement of players, an arsenal of weapons that he didn't have before.
Oh, yeah, and that's the key to me is, there's been a lot of conjecture about, first of all, there was a lot of conjecture about Trayvon Walker.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of conjecture about Kirk as well because they paid him a lot of money.
Right.
Well, this team is going to be until they get a ringtail wonder, whoever that is.
Right.
We might not have him right now. Kirk is going to be an outstanding player with this team. Is he Devontae Adams? We don't know that right now. But when you've got 7 guys catch balls in a game, to me, that's what this team is.
Yeah.
They're going to run the football. They're going to play action with Trevor. Trevor's going to keep the ball in the running game some. He's going to scramble once he gets real comfortable of stepping up into the pocket and going lateral. He can throw the ball on the move. When all those things come together, this is going to be a committee.
Yeah.
You got 2 running backs. You got Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah.
And Thunder can put it in the end zone too, as Robinson did for 37 yards.
Yeah.
But that was schemed. That running play was schemed to give him an opportunity to make a play. Yeah. And we have some guys that can make plays, and that's what's going to make us good in the future.
And that's why I always argue the coaches have as much of an impact on the success as the player does. Yes, the player does make the play, but the coach puts him in position to be successful, puts a lot of other guys around him to be successful. Here's a classic example. This is early, but I'm just going to keep an eye on this. It might be something that we do as a little bit of a theme on Campo and Joe. They averaged a little over 14 points per game last year. They gave up roughly close to 4 touchdowns per game last year. It was awful. They were in the bottom 4 in both of these categories in the NFL. They're averaging 23 points a game now, and they're giving up 14 points a game now. That is top 5 in offense. That's top 12 in offense, top 5 in defense. Hello.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. And to be honest with you, in the first ball game, with a little bit of a correction in the red zone, they would be averaging more points than they're averaging now.
So,
I feel really good about where they're at right now. This is going to be a little bit of a test going out to L.A. To play in that game. But, right now, when you look at this football team, you feel pretty good about the direction they're going. You don't want to get off that path. This will be an important ball game coming up.
All right, so let's hit a couple of areas before we look at the Chargers and what might happen. A couple of areas that you really liked before we talk about concerns. A couple of areas that you really liked, and you can go to the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side to start this.
Well, to start with defense, which I love, obviously, the front group, okay, and this is not even talking about Trayvon Walker and Allen. The front group that's going to help control the run and get some pressure inside to be able to allow those outside rushers to make plays. Right. Harris, Hamilton, and Fatukasi, and then the 2 inside backers, Aluakan and Lloyd. That group has a chance to be pretty good, in my opinion. And they're physical up front. Right. Hamilton has made tremendous progress from where he was last year. I love that. Harris has made progress from where he was last year. And Fatukasi was a dog to begin with. As long as they stay healthy, you got linebackers that can cover, that can go sideline to sideline. You got front guys that can force double teams and make some things happen and can get push in a passing game. That, to me, is the biggest plus of defense when you look going forward.
And it's something they didn't have a year ago. They didn't create any push. They didn't collapse the pocket. They didn't get to the quarterback. And Fatukasi, I say he's from East Rockaway Beach. He's one of the tough guys, which I love. But if you add all this up, Roy Robertson Harris was considered a mediocre signing last year. Right. Let's give him some credit. Devon Hamilton was considered as a third-round draft pick, a mediocre draft pick. And you can go on and on and on. Right. And maybe even Fatukasi was considered a mediocre signing. Right. You put all these guys together. Again, this is a theme when we talk about scheme. you get Mike Caldwell putting these guys in position.
Right. And then you add into that, and again, we're talking front seven. Walker gives the ability on some of his inside rushes to be one of those push guys and hands up guys, that can knock down some passes.
Yeah.
But what he does on the one side opens it up for Allen, because he's proven in the first game that people are going to notice where Walker is.
Right.
And so if they start working on Allen, then Walker will have to be the guy.
Yeah.
And so, it's a complementary thing. And they've actually shown that, even Gotsis coming in, makes something happen. Smoot got a couple of big things happen in the first ball game. Yeah. So, they have some guys in that front seven that, and let's not forget Muma.
Right.
He's been good on special teams, but I honestly believe if one of those linebackers went down, he got enough work to where he's capable of being a good inside linebacker as well. So the front seven to me, and if you throw Williams in there when they're in nickel, consider him, a part of the front seven.
Right.
In this game, this past game, he's shown he can cover as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an interesting group going forward.
Now, being honest, they didn't have the full complement of receivers in Indy. They didn't bring a healthy group down here.
Right.
That there's no shame in admitting that. Take advantage of the situation that you're in. Make the most of those plays. Rayshon Jenkins makes a play. We've seen Cisco. We've seen Campbell. All these guys pick off footballs. Devin Lloyd and Trayvon from the linebacking core have picked off footballs. But take advantage of that situation. Now, we know when we start getting to the breakdown for the Chargers that they've got big Mike Williams. They've got Keenan Allen when healthy. They've got Eckler coming out of the backfield. There are going to be a lot more weapons they're going to have to account for.
Right. But again, you don't worry as a football team who you're going to play. You worry about the game you're in.
Right.
Okay. And let me just give you an example after the two. And you're the one that brought it up. Tell the folks how many turnovers. Yeah. And again, we're talking defense. How many turnovers they had last year and where we're at this year already.
A total of 7 picks, a total of 9 takeaways last year. When you consider where they're at right now, they're at a half dozen already in 2 football games. And, Coach, they were at the bottom of the heap, and we all know that. When we look at the total number, it was mind-numbing that they could not get to the quarterback, they could not force a takeaway, and they couldn't cover up a fumble.
And the key to that whole thing is it's a team game because interceptions happen when you're ahead in the ball game. Okay? When you can rush the passer and get pressure on the quarterback, he's going to make some mistakes. Any of them are. I don't care who it is. And then fumbles occur from guys screaming to the football. And not only the guy that causes the fumble, but the guy that's hustling to get over there that recovers the fumble. And so this football team on defense, that's why this team has a chance to be good on the defensive side of the ball, and it's already shown up in the turnover game to me.
Yeah. It really has, and that's the key. And just people listening, they're going, all right, it's a good win. They shut out the Colts. The Colts, maybe not the Colts anymore. Wait till they get out there to L.A. Yeah, sure, you can have that attitude, but at the same time, we listen to Leon on XL Primetime. We listen to Coach remind people that it can come from nowhere. This Jacksonville team in '96 were either 3-7 or 4-7 before they caught fire down the stretch. I mentioned earlier, the Cincinnati Bengals went from worst to first and then took off and made it to the Super Bowl. The Cincinnati Bengals are 0-2 right now. The Las Vegas Raiders, another playoff team, 0-2 right now. The number 1 seed in the AFC last year, the hated Titans, are 0-2 right now.
And got raced.
They got smoked 41-7. They've been outscored, Coach, from the loss in the playoffs when they got knocked out immediately in the divisional round. They lost to the Giants, and then they lose to Buffalo earlier in the week. Their combined score is 81-43. They've gotten their butts beat. It can happen.
Back in the day with the Cowboys, we were 1-15. We come back the next year, we were 3-7. We won 4 straight. confidence. We lost the last two, almost made the playoffs at 7-9.
Right.
Next year, we came in with a lot of confidence because of what we did in those 4 games when we caught fire. We lost Troy Aikman to lose the last 2. We went with Babe Laufenberg. I love Babe, by the way. If you're listening, Babe, I love you, man. But we lost the last 2. But the point you're making about belief and confidence, that all comes into play. There's no question about it. And going out there this weekend, you go out there and you say, hey, if we do the things we're supposed to do, we'll be in a ball game. Let it rip.
Yeah.
And do your job.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do in the ball game.
I always feel like skill and physical talent, we all know everyone's going to measure. That's going to be the way most people look at it and handicap a game. But if you add confidence and momentum to physical talent, it can happen. 4 teams came from 21 down, 20 down, 13 down, and 10 down this past week to win football games. It can happen. All right, so as we wrap it up, a thought about what might be the main key that you would be looking at for this team to be successful against the Chargers?
Well, number one, there's a number of different things that can happen, and we could talk about that as we go forward here, later in the week. But the key to me is you can't let this quarterback feel comfortable. And the way you can get the quarterback uncomfortable is to control the running game early. And now that gives you a lot of options in order to make him uncomfortable. Number one, your linemen aren't worried about, having to play the run first and then try to get to the quarterback. If you've stopped the run, you controlled it, now you can let yourself go, let it loose. And then it also gives the caller some added ability to put pressure on a quarterback with 5-man rush.
Okay.
Bringing a zone blitz here or there. When you're worried about the running game, when you blitz, there's an open area in the run game somewhere along the line.
Right.
Unless it's a pure run blitz. But it just opens up a lot of things, and it also allows you to concentrate on stopping receivers. And one thing about the Chargers, especially if the 2 of them play, if Allen and Williams play, that's going to put some pressure on us. And we've got to be able to play some cover 2 where we're rerouting receivers. And the way you do that is to control the running game to begin with.
All right, we'll try and kick out a few more thoughts with the game against the Chargers coming up later in the week. Don't forget, check us out on Twitter, any of the 1010XL social media channels. We'll do a breakdown on Instagram, 1010 Joe C. Coach Campo, always a pleasure. You know what we're looking at right now? First place in the AFC South.
We're sitting in first place. Enjoy it, guys. And we might still be in first place at the end of this next weekend.
Here we go. Campo and Joe, thanks for tuning in and listening.